Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Toilets to Titles Wednesday night NFL review preview with me, Joe. This is the program where I review the previous week's NFL games and I give my initial preview of the upcoming Week 18 games in this instance. So we're going to review the Week 17 games. I'm going to also preview the Week 18 games. And on my Sunday morning show, I'll also give an updated preview, basically an updated preview of my updated picks for the Week 18 games as well. So, but anyway, normally I do this live. As you can tell, this is recorded. I'm recording this Tuesday night because we have tomorrow night. I believe starting 8 o'clock, we're going to have a special episode. We're going to have John Laub. I believe the last name is pronounced. That's Laub. Coach. Coach Sheps is familiar with him, and John Laub is going to come on and talk a little NFL draft with us. So he's going to be talking he's going to be talking about some of the premier college offensive players coming into the 2022 draft. I think like the top three or four from each of the offensive positions, especially like quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So really looking forward to that. I intend on being in that show as well with Coach, and I think we might have one of our other Toilets and Titles hosts as well. So it's going to be a nice round table, so to speak. So looking forward to doing it. Anyway, before we get into the content, so I plan on releasing this probably tomorrow night. I think at like 9 o'clock. I guess probably between our special episode, which it should be from 8 to 9. Maybe I'll release this at 9:30, from 9:30 to 10:30, and then 10:30 will be Dollars to Deuces, which is our regular Wednesday night program following this show. So anyway, before we get to our content, we have to go through the bells and whistles. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you can. Really appreciate it. Give us that 5-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. Where you can find the show: Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Facebook. Facebook, we have two pages. The first one is Toilets to Titles, and the other one is called When a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. And you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to learn how you can further support our wonderful show. And we have our own website, toiletstotitles.com. That's where we have all of our videos, articles, tons of fantasy and NFL and NCAA content as well. But the vast majority of it is fantasy and NFL related. Check it out. We've got like 14 or 15 members now here at Toilets and Titles. We all bring something to the table. Some of us, it's about videos. Some of us, it's about articles. And, obviously, we've got different content depending upon if it's in season or, off season. So, but check it all out. We've got everything up there. Again, all videos, articles, and it's just great content. I'm very fortunate to be with a huge group of other contributors who just are great to work with and who are smart, love their football, love their fantasy football, and just put out just great content. It's awesome to be part of it. And following the show, like I said, normally Wednesday nights, Dollars to Deuces at around 10:38. I'm sorry, at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dollars to Deuces, which is our NFL and NCAA betting advice program. It's on following the show, like I said, normally at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Wednesday nights. Any questions you have, the hosts of that show are Rich and Nate, and they give their own advice. But if you have any questions, send them through the chat. Every single question will be addressed by Rich and Nate. All right, so let's dive into the content, people. All right, the Week 17 games, the results. We're wrapping up this season, the 2022 season. I'll tell you, as a Giants fan, couldn't end fast enough because this has just been an absolute season from hell. And it seems like as a Giants fan, whenever you think it can't get worse, oh no, the next season comes along and it's worse and it's worse. But in the past, this actually would have been the final week of the regular season for the NFL. But as you probably know and remember, the NFL season now has 17 regular games in it. So this was week 17. It was that we just went through, and those were the 16th games for each team. And so we've got one final week to go. And these are the results from week 17. The Bills, who are now at 10-6, defeated the Falcons, who are now 7-9, 29-15. The spread that I had in this game, from what I recall, was 14 and a half points. The Bills were giving 14 and a half points, so they actually didn't cover. And I had taken the Bills, giving the points and straight up. But anyway, Bills defeated the Falcons. Josh Allen did not have a good game at all. He had something like 120 yards passing, 3 interceptions, and he did run for 80 yards, and he ran in 2 touchdowns as well, but not a good game for Josh Allen. And I don't like seeing that when they're getting so close to the playoffs, because the Bills are definitely going to the playoffs, and I just don't like seeing that. Um, Hats off to the Falcons again. I say this quite often this season. The Falcons have had a really admirable season. This is a team that I think a lot of people, including myself, I didn't expect the Falcons to have really more than 4 games, 4 wins this season, and here they are at 7-9. Very respectable. And that team really doesn't have. They've got a minimal amount of talent. And they got like Kyle Pitts, and you can tell Matt Ryan's kind of like on his last legs, or maybe that's not fair because he's not exactly surrounded by a lot of talent either. But Matt Ryan's not having a typical Matt Ryan season. He is getting older. He definitely doesn't have the talent around him that he used to have. Kyle Pitts, rookie tight end, who I think they took number 4 overall in this previous draft, did pass the 1,000 yards receiving mark for this season, and I think that's the first time it's ever been done by a rookie tight end. So kudos to um, kudos to him. The great job. He is a phenomenal. Kyle Pitts is a phenomenal young tight end. He's such a weapon, and kudos to him. So I do, like I said, I want to give some kudos to the Falcons. They're under the radar. It's not like they're, a great team or anything, but I thought they had no business even getting to 7 wins this season. And they're 7-9, I think, very respectable. The Bills 10-6, and like I said, the Bills with Buffalo, that team definitely has weaknesses. Number one is the running game. I knew coming this season that was going to be a problem. Zach Moss is not a number one running back. He's really a number two running back. And they've got Singletary, but Singletary is really more. He's a good weapon, but he's really more. I think he'd be a really great complement to a true number one running back. And Zach Moss should really just be a backup running back. And also, the Bills, I think, need a really good wide receiver opposite on the outside, opposite of Stephon Diggs. I think Cole Beasley's fine. As a slot guy, I think he's pretty good. But they need another good wide receiver opposite of Stephon Diggs, in my opinion. Bills defense is actually pretty good this year, and they've really improved the pass rush, which is a weakness of theirs last year. As a matter of fact, the Bills defense had 5 sacks this week, and Greg Rousseau, the rookie first round defensive end who they took at the back end of the first round, having a really good year, putting up some good sack numbers. The guy's looking like a bit of a beast in the making there. So, but the Bills have a good young defensive line, very talented, that they're building up very nicely. So, Bills are 10-6. They're looking good. They're looking good. Okay, moving on. The 6-10 Bears, who are now 6-10, defeated my lowly Giants, who are now 4-12, 29-3. And it's funny. I was on. I filled in for Nate last week on Dollars to Deuces, and it was just me and Rich, and we were talking about this game, and I think Rich was talking about the spread. I think he might have said like he would, he was, maybe the spread was like, I think it was 6.5 points, and maybe he was thinking about taking the Giants. I don't remember, something like that. And I said, listen, the Giants won't even score more than 6 points. They didn't. They scored 3 points. They scored 3 points. I'm not surprised at all. They're just so beat up. It's just been such a devastating year for the Giants. Very, very disappointing. But the Bears took care of business 29-3. I'm not going to go into that box score. Not much to talk about there, to be honest with you. 29-3, Bears took care of the Giants. The Giants currently have the number 5 overall pick in the first round for the 2022 draft. They also have the Bears first round pick um, from this in this upcoming draft because of when the Bears traded up to get Justin Fields. They traded up with the Giants in the 2021 draft, and so the Giants hold the Bears first round pick. So as a Giants fan, it's nothing against the Bears at all. I just don't want them to win any more games because I need that pick to be high as well, so my crappy team can have 2 high picks in the upcoming draft. Let's move on. The Bengals are 10-6. They defeated the 11-5 Chiefs 34-31. The Bengals are for real. And don't get me wrong, like I've thought for a long time the Bengals are for real. Their offense is certainly for real. The team is good. I mean, this is a team that is really on the upswing, and I'm really happy for the Bengals fans because they deserve this. They've gone through a lot of pain over the past few decades. Um, so they deserve this. I'm very happy for them. Taking care of the Chiefs 34-31, especially with how well the Chiefs have been playing like over the past like 6 weeks. That is something. That is a statement. And to me, it is very important to me when you're getting to nitty-gritty time here, getting close to the playoffs, and teams are trying to make the playoffs. It's a real battle, or they're even if they've already clinched, you have some teams that are trying to jockey for a better playoff position. Um, like the Chiefs would be doing right now. They're already in the playoffs, but they're definitely jockeying for like, those bye weeks, hopefully to get one of those bye weeks. The Bengals, they're fighting for their own playoff spot, and they took it to the Ravens last week, big time for the second time this season against the Ravens. And then they just took care of the Chiefs. Wow. Wow. So the Bengals are not just a good, young, promising team with a good record, but they're also winning when it counts. That says a lot to me. And that will be reflected, as you'll see later, in my updated top 10 teams that I'll be going into later. So hats off to the Bengals. Oh, I do have to go on this box score real quick because this was a monster game by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Hang on one second, bear with me. All right, so yeah, Joe Burrow killed me. He killed me. Um, he went 30 for 39, 30 for 39, 446 yards, four touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 11 receptions on 12 targets. So Jamar Chase was 11 for 12, 266 yards, three touchdowns, and Chase averaged 24.2 yards per reception. That is incredible. And the Chiefs defense isn't bad. I mean, a big reason why the Chiefs have been getting better and better, in my opinion, since they had their shaky start early this year, that lasted for like the first like 6 weeks of the season. Ever since then, the Chiefs have really solidified. They've really calmed down and just were running off like a nice 5 or 6 game winning streak themselves. Kansas City won. One reason was the offensive line stabilized, and number two, their defense stabilized too. The defense has been playing better. Kansas City does not have a great defense, but they've been playing, better than just good enough. They've been at least good enough. So, Kansas City's been playing great. Cincinnati did not back down. They didn't show their youth. They took it to Kansas City. Good for you, Cincinnati. Joe Burrow killed me in the Frankenstein League. Frankenstein League is the fantasy league that we've started and run here at Toilets and Titles. We just wrapped up our second season. I was actually in the finals against Graboid, who, by the way, Graboid, congratulations to you for beating me. I had the best record this year. Or at least I was tied for best record, but my team also had by far the most amount of points scored throughout the season. And I pretty much marched through the playoffs until I got into this game, and I was heavily favored. I had an outstanding lineup, and Graboid had a good lineup too, but I had like premier names, and he got off to a great start with Joe Burrow as quarterback. He gave Graboid 95 fantasy points, and I wound up losing by like 50 points. And some of my guys underperformed, but that happens. I still put up a decent amount of overall points, but Joe Burrow killed me. He was the slayer. Just brutal, brutal. It really hurt. So I got second place. Can't complain, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, the Titans 11-5. Good for you, Titans. They defeated the Dolphins 34-3. The Dolphins are 8-8. I believe the Dolphins are out of the playoffs now. I believe they've been eliminated. But hats off to the Dolphins. They got off to a really bad start. I think at one point they were like 1-5, maybe 1-6. I think like 1-5. Really bad start to the season, and they got hot. I think it was pretty much kind of like when Tua came back from his injury. The team got hot. Dolphins were playing like we expected them to play, like that young, up and coming team that really has a lot of good young talent, and they played like it. But listen, they went up against a better team. And the Titans have really weathered a storm where obviously they're missing Derrick Henry for the past few weeks, who's probably the best running back in the NFL today when he's healthy. And Henry was having a monster season. And then they also lost AJ Brown was not having a good year anyway, but they also lost AJ Brown for a good period of time. As usual, that guy gets injured way too often. And it's a shame because he's such an awesome talent. And they're missing Julio Jones as well, which he wasn't having a great season or anything, but still, you're still missing a seasoned veteran in Julio Jones. And when you're missing Henry and you're missing AJ Brown, it's all going to hurt. But the Titans weathered the storm, and it looks like they're probably going to. Yeah, I think they clinched their division. They clinched their division now, and they're getting Derek. AJ Brown is back. He's been back like the past 2 weeks, and Derrick Henry will be back for the playoffs. I don't think it's official just yet, but from what I read earlier this week, I actually picked Henry up like 2 weeks ago on waivers. with the hope that he'd be back for the championship week for fantasy. That didn't happen, but it sounds like he's going to be back for the playoffs. And man, if he's back for the playoffs, the Titans are for real, man. The Titans may be the best team in the AFC, and that's how they were looking. That's how they were trending for the first half of the season before Derrick Henry went down. Even when AJ Brown wasn't playing great, the Titans defense was playing really well, and they had Derrick Henry, and they were just they were just knocking off big time opponents like the Ravens. I think maybe the Chiefs, the Bills, the Titans were kicking everyone's teeth in. I mean, hard fights, good hard fought games, but the Titans were winding up on the good end of winning. And so the Titans were looking great. And Mike Vrabel, their head coach, is really good. This guy, I like this guy so much. He's like a really good head coach. And Titans are getting Derrick Henry back. Look out AFC. Look out AFC because we all know that the Titans were at least were trending towards. They were the best team in the AFC for the first half of the year. They weathered the storm. They did wind up with the best record in their division. I don't know if they're going to wind up with a bye, but man, I'll tell you, if they get Derrick Henry back, damn, and they're gonna. It sounds like they're gonna get it back. It almost sounds like it's a done deal. Like he will be back for the first week of the playoffs. Um, okay, the Raiders are now 9-7. Big time upset against the Colts, who are now 9-7 as well, 23-20. I don't remember what the spread was in this game. I don't even remember if the game was in Vegas or Indianapolis. I think it was in Vegas. But to me, even if the Raiders were the ones giving the points, to me this is still an upset because the Colts are a really good team. And I think they are a better team on paper than the Raiders. And the Colts have been since like week 4, the Colts have been a really hot team. They're a very well-rounded team. Carson Wentz is having a renaissance in Indianapolis. They've got Taylor, the running back, Jonathan Taylor, who's having a monster season at running back. Pittman, their wide receiver, is having a really good uh, his first. I think he's a second-year player, I believe, second-year player, but it's definitely his first year where he's like really making an impact. Um, and then they've got Colts have a very good defense as well, and they're a well-coached team. So look, I thought the Colts were definitely going to win this game. That's nothing against the Raiders because the Raiders are a pretty good team, and I don't think the Raiders are the most talented team. I think they have pretty good talent, and they're stronger in some areas than other areas. But you know, um, I got to give the Raiders, a lot of credit here. This is a team that lost their head coach a few weeks, probably like 6 weeks ago, and they've been in the thick of things. The Raiders have a chance still to make the playoffs, and the Colts say they're in the same boat as the Raiders. Like the Colts have got to win. I'm not sure what all the playoff scenarios in, like who wins in the rain or what. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't looked into that yet. But they're both 9-7. These are two teams who still have a shot at making the playoffs. And the Colts took a blow here. They took a blow because I do think the Colts are one of the best teams in the AFC. They're a really well-rounded team. And if they don't make the playoffs, it's kind of going to be a shame. I am rooting for the Raiders. I'm a Giants fan, but the Raiders are, like my number one backup team. I have a few backup teams, the Raiders, the Dolphins, and the Browns. The Raiders are my number one backup team. So, I do root for the Raiders when they're not playing the Giants. But I definitely felt like the Colts were a better team, and they really needed that win because Colts have had a good season overall. They had some really tough losses in the beginning of the season to good teams, to really good teams. The Colts got hot. They were kicking some ass over the past like 6 to 8 weeks. But week 18 is looking to be next week is looking like there's gonna be a lot of fireworks. You have a lot of teams that are still in the playoff hunt. It's gonna be interesting to see. Okay, the Patriots, who are now 10-6, they defeated the Jaguars, who are now 2-14, 50-10. Don't need to go into this. This isn't a surprise. Number one, Belichick always destroys young, inexperienced teams and young, inexperienced quarterbacks like Davis Mills. The Patriots are not Davis Mills, Trevor Lawrence, excuse me, Trevor Lawrence. There's no surprise here at all. I'm not even going to go to the box score. Um, but the Patriots, let me go back to this real quick. The Patriots, I'm not, I think the Patriots they're obviously having a really great season. And Belichick is now, you can see it in front of your eyes, he's building the next generation of good Patriot teams. Last year they definitely took a step back. I think they might have had a lot of injuries last year too, but it was their first year without Tom Brady. That's huge. Belichick, though, has got the Patriots, not surprisingly at all, he's got the Patriots trending big time in the right direction. They're having a really good season. They've got a good young rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, whereas we like to call him here Macaroni Jones here at Toilets and Titles. So looking really good. I do think the Bills are the better team in that division. And I'm not crazy about the Bills. Like I said, they're a good team, but I think they have some really serious flaws on their offense in terms of running back and wide receiver. But I think the Patriots have their own flaws too. I think they need some better wide receivers, and they also need Mac Jones is a rookie quarterback, so be careful with the expectations with Mac Jones. When the Patriots go to the playoffs, what he's going to do. I mean, listen, Belichick is a magician, and he's just like a great quarterback. Bill Belichick is an equalizer. He adds so much to a team on his own as such a great head coach. Um, the Patriots are looking good. They're looking good. But I do think the Bills are the best team in that division. And I believe both teams are 10-6. So we'll see what happens in week 18 and who's going to pull that division out. But I think they're both definitely in the playoffs. That is the Patriots and the Bills I'm talking about. Okay, the Buccaneers, who are now 12-4, they defeated, or I should say, they barely survived against the 4-12 Jets, 28-24. Buccaneers were down by 4 points, no, by 3 points, going into I think like with a minute left. And of course, Brady, unsurprisingly, led the Buccaneers down for the winning touchdown. Buccaneers are looking shaky. Obviously, they don't have Godwin anymore. He's out for the season with an injury, and they don't have Antonio Brown anymore. And I'm not going to go too much on Antonio Brown. I think you're probably all aware of what happened when it seemed like he had a breakdown on the field, took off his shirt, took off his pads, waved goodbye to the fans, and just ran off the field and I guess into the locker room, and he's no longer on the Buccaneers. That guy needs help. I think it's quite clear. People say, "Oh, he's a jerk." I think it's quite clear that Antonio Brown has had some serious mental issues for a long time. I don't know if it was that. Probably it may have been that hit from Vontez Burfict, that dirty ass hit that Vontez Burfict laid on him like 5 or 6 years ago in the playoffs. He was never the same after that. Uh, Antonio Brown, that is, and he's whatever it is, whether it's that, maybe he's got like PTSD from that hit because that was a really violent, scary hit. Um, or maybe it's something else that's just always been there and just only started coming to light a few years ago. But Antonio Brown's got problems. He's got mental issues. I pray for him. I pray for him to get well, to find peace, whether even if it's outside of football, even if he retires from football, and because this might have been the last team that's going to give him a chance with the Buccaneers. Yeah, I'm really glad about what Tom Brady said too, and I didn't see what Tom Brady said, or I didn't see the press conference. I didn't even read it. I just heard others talking about it, how Brady was basically you know telling other people to just show compassion with the situation. Obviously Antonio Brown he's not well. He's not well. And I really hope if he hasn't been getting the help that he needs, I hope he takes it seriously and and he does get the help that he needs. But anyway, Buccaneers are not trending in the right direction. Listen, they still have plenty of weapons. They still have a good defense. They've got some injuries on their defense as well, but overall, they still have a good defense. And they got Tom Brady, who's having a phenomenal season. They still have Gronkowski, who's back from injury. Leonard Fournette, I believe, is going to be back in time for the playoffs as well. Just like he was only on like the 3 week IR. Fournette's not done for the season. Like Derrick Henry, he's going to be back for the playoffs. And Leonard Fournette was having a fantastic season this year. And they still have Mike Evans. I'm not huge on I'm not high on Mike Evans. I mean, I don't think you really want Mike Evans as your number one wide receiver. He's not that dependable, and he's another guy who's always injured as well. But they do have Evans. They have Gronkowski. They're going to be getting Fournette back, and they got Tom Brady. They got Tom Brady. So the Buccaneers are still, a very lethal team, a lethal team. And hey, and hats off to the Jets too. The Jets have been playing ever since Zach Wilson um, got injured and he basically didn't play for a few weeks. It was, he had Mike White and then I think maybe another quarterback, play in as his replacement for a few weeks while he was injured. Um, Ever since Zach Wilson came back, he's been better. And sometimes young quarterbacks need that. Sometimes they need to be sat for a few weeks sometimes, even if they're not injured. They just need to be sat down for a few weeks so they can decompress, follow, see what's going on, follow the game from the sideline And, I think that really helped Zach Wilson out a lot. The Jets have been playing better, a lot better over the past, I don't know, like 6 weeks, where they got a few wins under the belt, and they've also lost some close games like this one. So really, I mean, on paper, the Jets had no business being in this game, yet they were. They're up. I think they were leading throughout pretty much the entirety of the game, as far as I recall, up until the last minute. So good job for the Jets. Good job for the Jets. I remember it was just a few weeks ago when people were just, ragging on Rob Saleh, the rookie head coach. Like, man, it's like the Jets aren't even like that talented of a roster to begin with. I mean, calm down, everyone. Calm down. Man, so Jets are playing better, and I don't hear any like stupid negative stuff about Rob Saleh, rookie head coach with limited talent on his team. Geez, it seems like they've been playing a lot better over the past few weeks. Okay, the Eagles, talk about a team that had a good, respectable, more than respectable. They're 9-7. Eagles, this is a team that I wasn't expecting much from this year. Even though I thought the Eagles all along, I thought the Eagles made the right decision to come back this year with Jalen Hurts and give him a full year to start to see what he can do. Jalen Hurts has been having a nice year. And the Eagles are 9-7. I didn't expect that. I thought the Eagles would maybe be like a 6-win team this year. They're 9-7. They're in the big time in the playoff hunt. And they defeated Washington, who's 6-10. Final score was 20-16. Washington, people were expecting a lot. I expected definitely better from Washington this year. I didn't think Washington was as great as everyone was kind of building them up to be. Um, but I was expecting better than 10-6. Listen, I realized they didn't have their starting quarterback. They didn't have Fitzpatrick. He's been out since the beginning of the season, and that could have made a big difference. But the thing about Fitzpatrick too is that this is a trend with his career that I noticed. The guy's like pushing 40 years old. A trend I noticed is that when people never expected much from Fitzpatrick or the teams that he was on, that's when he excelled. It's when things were actually expected of Fitzpatrick, and his team that he was on when things didn't go well. So I don't know how much better Washington would have been with Fitzpatrick. I assume they would have had a few more wins, probably like 8-8, but I still don't think they would have been so like I don't think they would have been a 10-6 team. I don't think so. I think they probably would have been like 8-8, but they're 6-10. I think Washington still has a lot of talent and a lot of good young talent, and they are talent-wise, they're trending in the right direction. I do think they need a quarterback other than Heineke, and I think they should try to get one in the first round this year. I think they can. They're in a position to do that. They're pretty strong at offensive line, defense. They do need help in the secondary, big time. Washington. That's like the real defensive weakness is they need big time help in the secondary, but I'm not crazy about this quarterback class, and no one really is. But I'll tell you, I think that there are quarterbacks that are. There's no way I would take these guys like top three, but if you're drafting like say like in the 10th spot, like Washington, maybe you take a Kenny Pickett, or maybe you take I'm not crazy into Sam Howell, but you got Kenny Pickett, you got like another quarterback or two that could be worthy of taking, like say like 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. I wouldn't take one of these quarterbacks like in the top three, not even really the top five. But you get, your choice of quarterback at number 10, if that's where say, for example, Washington's picking like 10, 11, 12. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Let's see. The Rams are 12-4 now. They defeated the Ravens, who are now 8-8, 20-19. I complained about my Giants and all the injuries they have, and it is legion. Their injuries are legion this year. It's ridiculous the amount. Giants cannot even field a real professional offense right now. The offense was looking bad anyway, throughout the entire season, but now it's kind of like a joke where it's just like guys, literally guys off the street all over the offense, playing offense for them. The Ravens have weathered a lot of storms this year with their own injuries, even before the season started. They're 8-8. The Ravens are actually on paper should have been a lot better than 8-8. But listen, man, you get injured so often. There's only so much next man up that you can do. There's only so much you can do. Um, and the Ravens are they lost 20-19. But hats off to the Rams because the Rams have been playing better over the past 4 weeks. I wasn't that sold on the Rams coming into the season. They added Von Miller on defense. They added OBJ. OBJ is having a bit of resurgence, bit of a renaissance playing on the Rams. That's not a surprise. This is the Rams are the best team and definitely the best offense he's ever been on. So, good for OBJ. I'm not an OBJ fan myself. I wasn't crazy about him the last few years he was on the Giants. This guy was always injured, and quite frankly, I didn't like his personality. He was throwing, teammates under the bus without using their name. He's a sly guy. He's sly, he's sly like a fox. But Rams are doing well. They're 12-4. They're definitely trending in the right direction heading into the playoffs. The Ravens just had a tough season with injuries. It became too much to overcome, I think. And but I'll tell you, the Rams going. I don't care who it is. When you go into Baltimore in December and you come out with a 1-point win, that's impressive. That's good. Because Ravens will. They always go down swinging. They always go down. Even when they're banged up, that's a well-coached team. That just goes down swinging. So they held the Ravens to 20 points. That's damn good. That's really good. Okay, the Chargers, they're still in a fight for last playoff spot with the Colts and the Raiders. The Chargers are now 9-7. They defeated the 7-9 Broncos 34-13. Good impressive win by the Chargers. It's not easy. They dominated this matchup here, and this is a divisional game. Those games are not easy to dominate. Broncos are not a pushover either. They're 7-9. They're not a pushover team. They're a pretty good team. And Chargers went, I believe this. Oh, I forgot if the game was played in Denver, but anyway, Broncos aren't a pushover. This is a really good win for the Chargers. This is still relevant for playoff conversation. It's going to be a wild week 18. It's going to be a wild week 18 because you have a lot of teams in the playoff hunt here. The 49ers are now 9-7. They defeated the Texans, who are 4-12, 23-7. Let's go to that box score real quick because Trey Lance started this game because Garoppolo was injured, I believe, if I recall correctly. And I do want to go to this box score. Trey Lance had a good game, guys. Trey Lance had a good game. Trey Lance went 16 for 23, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. That's pretty good. 2 touchdowns, pretty good. Elijah Mitchell, man, what a monster. Elijah Mitchell, 21 carries, 119 yards. Damn, that's really good. Trey Lance also put up 31 yards on the ground too. So really good game by Trey Lance here. Trey Lance put up 280 yards total. 280 yards total and 2 touchdowns. Really good job. Brandon Ayuk had a really big game. 4 receptions for 94 yards. Deebo Samuel, that guy is just he's a monster. Deebo Samuel, 63 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown. And Deebo Samuel also put up 19 yards on the ground too. Great job by him. Kittle had a quiet game. Everyone else had a pretty quiet game there. Um, and that's it. That's it. Okay, so let's move on to the next score there. The Cardinals, big bounce back win for the Cardinals. They're now 11-5. They defeated the Cowboys, who are 11-5, 25-22. Yeah, as you know, the Cardinals started off the hottest team in football. I think they started off 10-0, if I recall correctly. Recently, they were like 1-5 over the past like 6 games. They got a much needed win against the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys were ready to I thought they were going to actually dominate the Cardinals because the Cardinals haven't been playing well. They've also, Cardinals are missing DeAndre Hopkins. Um, but Cardinals got one of the running backs back recently. I'm brain farting on the name, but he's pretty good. And the Cardinals defense played really well, like they've been playing the vast majority of the year. They held the Cowboys to 22 points. That's impressive. That is impressive. So, yeah, I thought the Cowboys. I forgot who they beat last week, but they stomped on someone last week, and I figured, okay, the Cowboys are ready to take charge of their own destiny here. I mean, they're making the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but I figured they were just ready to start kicking ass, get ready for the playoffs. And listen, Cardinals aren't a pushover. Don't get me wrong. It's just that the Cardinals were trending in the wrong direction, and I thought the Cowboys were ready to. I thought they were going to take charge of that game, and I was wrong about that one. I was wrong about that. At this point, I am a little worried about the Cowboys. I don't like how they've been playing like over the past 6 or 7 weeks. They've been getting, they've been winning more often than they've been losing, much more often than they've been losing. But I'm worried about Zeke. I do think. Listen, Pollard can be good. He's not Zeke. I think having like a Zeke from a few years ago who was Zeke, the guy who was a monster, who was a monster running back, that's a big difference. Um, and I'm worried about the Cowboys. I think their defense is good. Um, They have really good wide receivers. Dak is a very good quarterback. But I think the Cowboys are looking a little shaky right now. They're looking a little shaky right now. Okay, moving on. The Saints are now 8-8. They defeated the Panthers, who are 5-11. The final score in this game was 18-10. Whatever. Um, I mean, just nothing against the two teams, but just mediocrity. I'm not going to go into that game there. Seahawks are 6-10. They defeated the Lions, who are 2-13-1. The final score was 51-29. Damn, was that right? 51-29? Let me see that. Yeah, 51-29. Oh, that's right. Oh, Rashad Penny. Penny was a player that Graboid had in Frankenstein, my opponent. He was another player put up a monster game, and that contributed to me losing to Graboid, and that hurt. Rashad Penny he had the type of game that Jonathan Taylor's been having for me for like the past like 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, ever since I stole Jonathan Taylor from another team, about 2 months ago. Rashad Penny put up 170 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Incredible, incredible. Um, and he also put up 15 yards receiving as well. So Rashad Penny put up a total of 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is monster. That is monster. And I want to give a shout out to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I liked this guy coming out of the last draft, coming out of USC. I believe he was USC wide receiver, and I really like him a lot. This past draft was such a wide receiver deep class that Amon-Ra St. Brown easily got forgotten about. I didn't forget about him. I like him a lot, and he's having a great season for Detroit. He's really finding himself the second half of the season, his rookie season. Amon-Ra St. Brown put up 111 yards receiving and a touchdown, and he put up 23 yards rushing and a touchdown. So Amon-Ra St. Brown was responsible for a total of 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a monster for the past few weeks. And this performance was with the backup quarterback. It wasn't even with Goff. I think Goff missed the game because of COVID. He did this week with Tim Boyle, the backup quarterback, Tim Boyle. Um, Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking like, man, he's looking like a real monster, this guy. I love it. And I'm not surprised. I always had faith in Amon-Ra St. Brown. I didn't necessarily think he would do what he's doing this year, but even the performances that he's been putting up the past few weeks, I never really expected that good from him. But man, he's looking like he's got the ability to be a true number one wide receiver. Damn, he's looking really good. Okay, so let's move on. The Packers took care of business against the Vikings, 37-10. Final score in this Packers are now 13-3. They've got the best record in the NFL. They control their destiny in terms of having the number one seed in the NFC. So if they win this upcoming week, Packers will have the number one seed throughout the playoffs in the NFC. And it's well deserved. Packers have had a great season. The Packers have built a well balanced team, probably the best balanced team that Aaron Rodgers has ever played on for the Packers. They have a good defense. They have a real defense. I remember some years past, maybe like 10 years ago, where the Packers were really good at stripping the ball, and they produced a lot of turnovers, but they weren't a very good defense. This Packers defense is actually very good. So he doesn't have the best wide receiving core. He's got Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams. He's got Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is in one of the top elite wide receivers in the game. Don't get me wrong; he might even be the best wide receiver in the game today. Other than that, I'm not crazy about like Lazard or these other or who's the guy with the hyphenated name that they have. But I'm brain farting on that. But they've got a really good running back core too. Yeah, I'd feel a lot better if they had like a better number two wide receiver. But whatever, they've got a lot. They've got Aaron Rodgers, who's probably one of the top five quarterbacks in NFL history. He's still playing great. They've got a two-headed beast of a monster at running back, and they've got Devontae Adams, who's possibly the best wide receiver in the game today, and they've got a really good defense. Packers are a well-rounded team. And this has got to be the best team that Aaron Rodgers has ever played on. So why he was bitching and moaning in the beginning of this year is beyond me. I'm glad he's still in the Packers. That's where he should be. And the Packers are rocking and rolling. No one has been playing better than the Packers have been. Nobody for a long time now. Okay, let's get through this. Steelers are 8-7-1. They defeated the Browns, who were 7-9, 26-14. This is most likely Ben Roethlisberger's last home game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. It sounds like he's retiring after this year, and it's time to. It's time to. All right, guys. So I'm not going to go into into the box score of that game. Let's move on to the Week 18 picks, where I do my picks, my projections for with the spread and straight up. And I'm going to share the screen. Let's do this. Share screen, window, my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, you can see that. Okay, cool. You can see that. So real quick, this is my top 10 teams through week 17. There are a lot of changes this week. The Packers I now have as my best team, which is not a surprise. They are 13-3. They've been Packers have had such a good season. I moved them up 2 spots this week. They are now my overall number one. They took over for the Buccaneers, where I dropped down 1 spot to number two. I had the Buccaneers, and I would still have the Buccaneers if they had Antonio Brown. If they still had Antonio Brown, because I think the Buccaneers, they've got so much going on with them, with their offense and their defense, and above all, Tom Brady. They're the defending Super Bowl champions, but with both Godwin and Brown being gone now, um, I got to go with the Packers. The Packers, I think are the best team now. I still have the Buccaneers at number two, and I still have the Cowboys at number three. I still have the Cowboys at number three, even though I was just saying a few minutes ago that they worry me. But I did move the Cowboys down a spot as well from number two to number three. The Chiefs, I moved them up a spot. Even though they lost to the Bengals, I moved them up a spot. They're 11-5. I still think the Chiefs are. They lost to a good team in the Bengals, and I still think the Chiefs are looking really good, especially compared to how they were playing at the beginning of the year. The Chiefs are looking really good. So I have the Chiefs at number four. I moved the Titans up 5 spots. Uh, the Titans are 11-5. I moved the Titans up from five spots to my number five ranking, because they've weathered the storm. They're going into the playoffs, and they're going to be getting Derrick Henry back for the playoffs. The Titans are a good team. They've got a good quarterback. They've got a good defense. And if AJ Brown's been playing like he's been playing over the past few weeks, they've got AJ Brown, who's got the potential to be a monster as a wide receiver. But they get Derrick Henry back, man, they're just the Titans were the best team in the AFC up until Derrick Henry went down. So now he's coming back for the playoffs. The Titans are going to be very, very, very dangerous in the playoffs. So I've got them. I moved them up 5 spots to my number five team overall. The Rams, I moved them up a spot from number seven to number six. The Rams, I think, are trending in the right direction, getting ready for the playoffs. The Bills, I moved up a spot as well from number eight to number seven. I think they're trending in the right direction for the playoffs. The Colts, I moved down 2 spots. They're 9-7. They're in danger of not making the playoffs. I still think they're the eighth best team in the NFL right now, though. It's a very talented team, the Colts. I've got them at number eight. The Bengals, I've got at number nine now. They were not on my list last week, my top 10, but man, they're 10-6. I jumped them ahead of both the Cardinals and the Pats. The Pats are no longer on my top 10 list. Um, the Bengals are for real. Wow, they're really good. 2 weeks in a row, big wins. Um, they just beat the Chiefs. And then the week before that, they stomped over the Ravens. And the Ravens are banged up. I get that. But this is the second time this year where where the Bengals beat the crap out of the Ravens. And that is impressive. Um, you know, Even when the Ravens are banged up, they lose by like a point, like they just did to the Rams. But last week, the Bengals just crapped all over them for the second time this year. And then this week, the Bengals beat the Chiefs, who are like the hottest team in the AFC for like the past like 6 weeks. Bengals are looking so good, man. So they're now number nine on my list, and I've got the Cardinals at number 10. I dropped them down 1 spot. The Cardinals have been trending downwards. The Cardinals were never higher than number five on this list for me. They never made it higher than number five for me. I always had some worries about that team, and I like Kyler Murray a lot, but I always had some worries about that team. They're just a young team as well, and losing DeAndre Hopkins really really hurt that team a lot. but I still have the Cardinals on my top 10. Okay, so my week 17 results with my picks. So last week's results with the spread, I was 10-6, not too bad. Straight up, I was 13-3, really good. So far, year to date, my results with the spread, I am 145, 107, and 3. Straight up, I am 162 and 94. Kudos to me. That's great. Okay, so here are my week 18 picks, and I will be updating this Sunday morning. There will be, some of the spreads change between. The spreads I'm reading off here right now are from Tuesday night. Again, I'm recording the show Tuesday night. So these are the spreads from Tuesday night. I update my picks on Sunday morning before the games, and that's where you get, I'll be working with updated spreads, and you know, I might change some of my picks because of how the spreads change. I also just might change my picks just on gut feeling as well. A lot of picks I make are just kind of like a gut feeling. Chiefs at the Broncos. Chiefs are giving 10 points. Taking the Chiefs, giving the points, and the Chiefs straight up. But this is I'll tell you, I'll warn you about this. So this game is in Denver. I realize the Broncos have I'm sorry, Drew Lock. They have Drew Lock starting. Um, but this game's in Denver in December. I'm sorry, in January. In January, and Denver's not an easy place to play. 10 points is a lot. The Broncos did just get handled by, I forgot who it was. I forgot who it was. Maybe the Chargers. I don't remember. They got it handled pretty easily. Um, so I am going to go with the Chiefs giving 10 points, but this is a pick that I could actually change Sunday morning. I'm definitely taking the Chiefs straight up, but 10 points is a lot in Denver, and Denver's a pretty solid team. Cowboys at Eagles. Um, Cowboys are giving 7 points. The Eagles are fighting for a playoff spot. They've been battling the whole season. This team hasn't laid down to anyone. This game's in Philadelphia. I'm taking the Eagles getting the points, and I'm taking the Cowboys straight up. Bengals at the Browns. The Bengals are giving 3 points. I'm definitely taking the Bengals giving the points and the Bengals straight up. Those are two teams that are trending in different directions. Browns have a beat up offensive line. If you look at Nick Chubb, he was having a monster year this year as expected. Um, and then he got injured in the middle of the season, but so did some of the players on the Browns offensive line and their running game, which is their bread and butter, because they really don't have a passing game. The Browns running game has suffered because of it. You can see in the output by Nick Chubb it's been more pedestrian. It's been unchubb-like over the past, like, ever since he came back from his injury. It's been his production's been kind of on the pedestrian side. Um, the Bengals are hot. They just defeated two really good teams, the Chiefs and the Ravens. I got to take the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals, giving the 3 points, even though it's in Cleveland, and I'm taking the Bengals straight up. The Packers at the Lions. The Packers are giving 2.5 points. That's strange. I wonder what's going on here. I haven't looked into this. The Packers are only giving 2.5 points. I wonder if that's a mistake or if it's already been decided, which this is probably it. I just haven't looked into it, but this is probably it. The game's in Detroit, but normally this line would be much, much bigger. As of right now, the Packers are only giving 2.5 points. I assume that it's already been decided that Aaron Rodgers is not playing this upcoming game, and that even they might even be sitting all their starters, such as Devontae Adams, you know, um, what's his name, Aaron Jones. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that the decision has already been, if it's been announced that they're resting all these guys, including Aaron Rodgers. That's my assumption why this line is as low as it is. But as of right now, I'm still taking the Packers, giving 2.5 points, and the Packers straight up. Bears, the Vikings. The Vikings are giving 2.5 points. I'm taking the Vikings, giving the points, and the Vikings straight up. But man, I don't know. I could see the Vikings not showing up for this game. I think every game they played this season has been a really close game, whether they won or lost. Um, but you know what? The Vikings, they should have been, they're like 7-9. They should have been better than that. I just something about this game, I could see the Vikings not showing up. I could see it. I could see it happening. But as of right now, I'm going to take the Vikings giving the points and the Vikings straight up. Washington, the Giants. Washington's giving 6.5 points at the Giants. I'm taking Washington giving the points and Washington straight up. Giants can't score more than 6 points. The Colts at Jaguars. Colts are giving 15.5 points. The Colts need this win. I'm taking the Colts and giving the points and the Colts straight up. And that's really not a stretch anyway. The Jaguars have not played well. The Colts have been one of the best teams in the NFL this year. Um, and the Colts need this win in order to make the playoffs. So I'm taking the Colts, giving the points, and the Colts straight up. Colts should be taking care of business. They will take care of business. Steelers at the Ravens. The Ravens are giving 5.5 points. I'm taking the Steelers getting the points and the Ravens straight up. I think it's going to be a very close game. This is normally probably the best divisional rivalry in the entire NFL. Steelers at the Ravens. These are two organizations that have been so good for the past 20 years, so consistent. And the Ravens are really ravished by injuries. The Steelers are not as good as they used to be. They also need to build up their offensive line. That's definitely a weakness of the Steelers. And their quarterback is not in his prime anymore either, Ben Roethlisberger. But Ravens have had so many injuries, so many key injuries this year that just completely depleted them. And like I said, you can only do next man up so much. So the Ravens are giving 5.5 points in Baltimore. I'm going to take the Steelers getting the points, and I'll take the Ravens straight up. I wouldn't be surprised if Sunday morning if I take the Steelers straight up. I wouldn't be surprised. As of right now, I have to go with the Ravens straight up winning at home, and the Steelers getting the points though. Okay, Titans at the Texans. The Titans are giving 10.5 points. I'm taking the Titans giving the points and the Titans straight up. I could see Titans are in the playoffs. They won their division. I don't know if they have a chance to get a bye. Maybe they do. And if they have a chance to get a bye, then they should be playing all their starters. And that means that they probably would beat the Texans by more than 10.5 points. However, if the outcome of this game plays no decision on whether or not they get a bye. Like if they can't get a bye, then the Titans probably will rest their starters, and that could make a difference because the Texans have been battling this year. Hats off to the Texans. They only have 4 wins, but man, that's a team that you easily coming into the season thought that they could go get 0 wins. The Texans have been battling, but yeah, listen, I don't want to overthink this. I'll go with the Texans giving the points and the Titans giving the points and the Titans straight up. Saints at the Falcons. The Saints are giving 4.5 points. This game's in Atlanta. I'm going to take the Falcons getting the points, and I'll take the Saints straight up. Yeah, so it's Saints at Atlanta. The Saints are giving 4.5 points at Atlanta. I'm going to take the Falcons getting the points and the Saints straight up. Jets at the Bills. The Bills are giving 16.5 points. I'm going to take the Jets getting the points and the Bills straight up. I'm definitely taking the Bills straight up, but I'm going to take the Jets getting 16.5 points in this game. That's crazy. That's a big spread. I mean, listen, I do think the Bills are a lot better than the Jets, but Jets have been playing better. I think every time I pick the Jets this year getting the points, I think I've lost, but the Jets have been playing better. Um, I'll take the Jets getting the points as of right now. That could easily change Sunday morning. So as of right now, Jets getting the points, Bills straight up. 49ers at the Rams. The Rams are giving 4 points. I'm going to take the 49ers giving the points and the Rams straight up. Debo Samuel's looking great. Elijah Mitchell's looking great. I forgot they're probably having Trey Lance play against the Rams defense, which is pretty good. Ooh. All right. As I'm going to stick with what I have right now. As I said, as of right now, okay, this game's in Los Angeles. I'm taking the 49ers getting the points and the Rams straight up. I will most likely change this on Sunday morning to the Rams both ways. As of right now, I'll just let this stick. 49ers getting the points, Rams straight up. Patriots at the Dolphins. The Patriots are giving 6.5 points. I'm taking the Dolphins getting the points and the Patriots straight up. I could easily change that to the Sunday morning. Don't be surprised if Sunday morning if I change this to the Patriots both ways. But as of right now, Dolphins getting the points, Patriots straight up. Seahawks at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are giving 6.5 points. I'm taking the Seahawks getting the points and the Cardinals straight up. So it's in Arizona. The Cardinals are giving 6.5 points. Seahawks have been playing better over the past few weeks. They've been playing better. Um, Russell Wilson's been playing better. The Seahawks have been playing better. As of right now, I'm gonna take the Seahawks getting the points and the Cardinals straight up. I could change that Sunday morning to the Cardinals both ways. I could. Panthers at Buccaneers. Buccaneers are giving 8 points. I'm taking the Buccaneers giving the points and the Buccaneers straight up. Chargers at the Raiders. The last game, the last game of the regular season, of this regular season, Monday night game. Both teams have a shot at the playoffs. Um, they're both 9-7. The Raiders, this game's in Las Vegas. The Raiders are giving 3 points. I got to take the Chargers getting the points and the Chargers straight up. I just think the Chargers are a more talented team overall. And the games in Vegas, the Raiders have had a good season, but I got to go with the Chargers' talent, and I'll go with the Chargers getting the points and the Chargers straight up. And those are my picks for Week 18, everyone, for the final week of the 2021 regular season. Anyway, before I sign off, just some reminders about our in-season programs. Usually Monday night in season, we've got our waiver wire program, which is Patreon members only. However, that's done because fantasy season's over, so that's no longer going on Monday nights. The waiver wire program will be back next season, beginning of next season. Tuesdays at 8 p.m., Toilets and Titles. We normally have it, but we weren't able to do it tonight. We weren't able to do it this Tuesday night. We're actually doing a special episode again with John Laub, who's coming on to discuss uh, NFL prospects, for the upcoming draft. So that'll be tomorrow night. Normally a Wednesday night, this show usually goes on like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. The show you're watching right now, which is the NFL review preview. Following that show, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday night is Dollars to Deuces. That's our weekly betting advice program for NFL and NCAA games. Thursday at 8 p.m. is a dash of DFS. Saturday at 7:30 p.m. is Down Under Dynasty. We have a crew of guys, of great guys down in Australia who are really into dynasty fantasy football, and they come on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking dynasty fantasy football. What their plans are. Um, and so if you have any questions, dynasty related, please send them through the chat. They will address and answer every single question you have. Sunday at 8 a.m. is my show. I usually start at more like 8:30 a.m. is my other show, which is called the NCAA Recap NFL Preview. It's otherwise known as Cup of Joe, and that's where I recap the NCAA football results and I give an updated preview or my updated picks, excuse me, updated picks for the Sunday and Monday NFL games. And then following that show, Sunday at 10:30 a.m. sharp is the Blitz, which is our fantasy start sit advice program, and that is we want it to be a call-in show eventually. It will be a call-in show eventually, but for right now, we've got a great crew on that show. We've got three hosts. We have Mike, Alex, and Justin, and they talk about who they're sitting, who they're starting, and they will address any and every single question you have. Send it through the chat. They will address every single question that comes to them and you'll get three different opinions. So it's great. It's an awesome program. Check it out. Again, that's 10:30 a.m. And we're gonna have, for off season, we're obviously the season is wrapping up here for the NFL. We're working on different programs for off season. A lot of it's gonna be it's still gonna be there's gonna be fantasy related advice there too. And we're also gonna have it's gonna be very, draft centric. It's going to be very draft centric. So we're definitely going to have, new programs coming up for the off season. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice change of pace. And that's it, guys. So, and one last friendly, two more things. One, Twitter handles for me and all my colleagues here at Toilets and Titles. There's about 15 of us now. Follow all of us if you can. We're a great bunch, a great group of guys, and everyone's got great personalities, and they're always happy. If you have any questions about fantasy advice or betting or someone send it to someone and you'll get responses. Okay, guys, it's a great crew. Also, friendly reminder: don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell. Give us that 5-star Apple review because we deserve it. Anyway, guys, I'm done for the night. Like I said, enjoy these games. The final regular season games of the NFL. It's been an exciting season as always. We love our NFL football. Just enjoy it, guys. Enjoy it. And for those of you who are fortunate enough that your teams are making the playoffs, kudos to you. You deserve it. Love you. I'm done. I'm out for the night. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.